In the last episode, we created this route, which gives us the ability to visit the endpoints, register, or even if we want, we can visit no endpoints at all, and we know our application is going to route us to the correct endpoints. Okay, so we can see that this was the page that was doing all those stuff for us, and also in our app.py file, we could see the register endpoint that we added. Let's add another one. Okay. So in here, I'm going to create another endpoint. So I'm going to say app.route to create a new route. And in this particular route, I'm just going to call it task. Okay, so immediately someone hit this endpoint, maybe it should load the page for task for us. Okay, so let's do that. So I would have a function called task, and then it would return a page that says that. So we use the render template function to call it, and then we say that, hey, render the task.html for us. Now let's call it create task. Okay, so I'll call it create task. Okay, so this would help us to create a new task. So maybe this might be the longest episode we are recording. Just bear with me. Okay, so I'm just going to put this here. So I'm just going to say that task.html. Okay, then I'll have my basic HTML scaffolding over here, and in here would be where I'll do all the fun stuff. So in this episode, we're going to be adding Bootstrap into our application, and we'll make the application much more better than it is right now. But for now, let's just say hi on the page. So we test to see whether the endpoint and everything is working as it is supposed to be. So let's go to our browser. So in here, I'll just go to slash and I'll say task. All right, let's hit on enter. Okay, it says hi, which means it's reached out to application successfully. So I'm just going to copy Bootstrap CD and just head over to this particular URL, and then you should be able to get the Bootstrap CDN. Okay, so this would help us make our application much more better. I hope you know about Bootstrap before joining this particular lesson. So I'll paste in a link to Bootstrap. Okay, now let's try do some fun stuff with Bootstrap. So we can see that we want a container. Okay, this would give us a free margin out of the box and co. So we have a container, and in this particular container we would have a row. Okay, so this is the Bootstrap grid system, and then in this row we are going to create maybe let's create 5 columns. Okay, so we say call 5 or 5. Yeah, I think 5 is okay. All right, so with this in mind, when I even output anything like an H4 which says that hello, you can see that it would be centered somehow. Yeah, it will not start. We'll just some margin out of the box. You can see that. Okay, so let's add some empty margin top at the container side. So empty 5, and I'll click on save, come back to my page, refresh, and you can see that I have some margin top of 5. Okay, so let's try using the Bootstrap, what they call the card in here, to design our beautiful form so that people can add tags to our application. Okay, so let's get started with that. So I'll say div.card. Okay, so in this particular card, I would make the body of the card contain the form. So I'll say div.card body, and I'll hit on tab. Okay, so in here is where I'll get my form up and running. So let's just create a simple form, which would be a get request. Maybe the endpoint should be, it should go to /data.html. So that means we need to create an endpoint for this, right? So it should go to data. Okay, so and then let's just create some quick forms here. So I will do div.group or div.form group. We call it Bootstrap classes to just help us group the items or form controls. So I'll put a label in here. So I'll say label. This label is going to be for the tax name. So I would say that tax name, and I would create an input. So I would say input dot form control. All right, and I would then hit on enter to create a form, you know, and then I'll give it a name. Okay, remember your name attribute is very, very important. So this would be called name. Okay, so at this point I would click on save, and just before I view it to you, I want to create 1 or 2 things, but let's just see it in action. How does it look like so far? Okay, you can see that I have a simple card which says tax name. Let me add tax description and then a submit button over there. So let's just do that. This dot form group. Okay, and in this form group, we would have a label just like the other one. So this label is going to be for the description of our task. Okay, and so I'll say description. Okay, I'll save my work and then I would then use the test area. Okay, so we say test area, and what exactly do we want? We want the form control class. Okay, so I did not mention this. So the form control class makes your form your form control very beautiful. So let's just use it in here. Okay, so at this point we have another one, and let's add additional button. So I'll say button dot btn success to give me a very green button, right? So I would say that add, okay, task, it depends. So we click on save, we go back to our page, we refresh in here, and you can see we have a very beautiful form here that says tax name. So when we visit the /register, it's kind of boring. When we visit any other endpoint, they are all boring, but we know for sure that when we visit the task, it will help us to be able to add tags to our application, which makes it quite great, I would say. Sorry, let me just say task once again. Okay, and you can see we have a very beautiful endpoint over here. So let's just finish up this episode by pushing this code to GitHub. So I'll just head over to my GitHub account. Okay, just gonna load, and then I'll click on the plus icon over here, and I'll click on new repository to create a new repository. So I'll call this tax mini app. Okay, and I'll give it a description, my task app in Flask. Okay, and I'll leave it to be public, and I'll click on create repository. Okay, so that you can actually download these codes. Okay, all right, so I would then copy this code and I'll paste it into my my terminal. So with Visual Studio Code, I'm just going to press Ctrl tilde to bring up the terminal. Okay, so in this terminal, I'm just going to initialize Git on my project. So git init, and I'm going to do some git add, and I'll do some git commits to commit this first this first to GitHub. Okay, just funny. So let's say ready to deploy. Okay, and I'll hit on enter. So, okay, so that added it very much. Oh, I'll clear this screen. It's clear gonna do that. Okay, then I'll paste in whatever I copied from GitHub. Okay, so the remote origin is now linked to my account here, and I'll push it. All right, so it's just gonna take some few seconds, and everything will be pushed to GitHub, which means this code, you can now find it on the internet and on my GitHub account. If you visit my my account, and then you'll find all this, you can be able to clone it and then use it in your project. So in the next couple of episodes, I think we would like to push this particular application to Microsoft Azure. So let's come back and do that.